Mike. Okay, so this is the Design Commission meeting for June 8th for the city of Bonney Lake. I will be acting as the clerk tonight, and Tom, you will be acting as the vice chair. I just want to do a quick tech support. Gela and Rob, can you unmute your mics and turn your cameras on to make sure that we know you're here?
Guys, how you doing?
All right. Gela, am I saying that right? And Rob, if you want to mute your mic when you're not talking, that way it just kind of helps with not having feedback in the system.
Yep.
All right, well, I'm going to do a roll call while, and I think it's Robin. Oh, no, Robin. All right, so I'll do roll call, and then we'll get the meeting started. So actually, you want to call the meeting to order, Mr. Chair?
All right, I'd like to call the June 8th, 2022 Design Commission meeting to order.
All right, I will do the
So
roll.
we take roll?
Yes, sir. Chair Strauss Boyd is absent. Vice Chair Kennedy.
Here.
Commissioner Benden, absent. Commissioner Colvith is absent, excused. He sent me an email saying he was not going to be able to make it tonight. Commissioner Weber is absent. Commissioner Prente.
Present.
And Commissioner Munson-Mary. Jason Sullivan, Planning and Building Supervisor, is here, and so is and Betty Brazel.
Here.
Who's the new associate planner. So before we kind of get into our next agenda item, I just wanted to announce that Betty Brazel is our new associate planner. She took over for Nate Sheldmeyer, who was the old associate planner. So Betty will be the one who is primarily presenting design commission packets to the design commission. I am simply here as the clerk and to help out when needed. So with that, we will take a poll for our next meeting, which is July 13th. We do have business for that night, I believe. So of the three of you, are you guys available that night?
What's that night again?
July 13th.
July 13th? I believe so, but if not, I'll let you guys know later.
Same here, I believe I am, yeah. I don't see anything on the schedule.
All right, it's now up to you to run the rest of the agenda.
Okay.
You need a copy?
I'm sure
I have a copy.
if you got a paper copy,
I
that's
do.
great.
Rob, I'm here to make you successful.
Oh, I appreciate that. Thank you. Okay, call to order is done, roll call is done. We're done. Approval of the minutes from April 15, 2022. Does anybody have any comments, corrections, additions or deletions?
Not here.
So one of the commissioners will have to make a motion, then we'll have to second it, and you guys can.
I motion to approve the minutes.
Okay. Okay. All in favor? Aye. The minutes are approved as written. Item number 4, Planning Commission report.
Will not happen as Commissioner Strauss Boyd's not here tonight.
Okay. Don't see anybody from the public, but public comments or concerns. Was there any comments emailed in or submitted in writing?
No, Chair.
Okay, and there's nobody in the room here from the public for comments. Old or continuing business?
None.
And there is none. New business. Target drive up expansion plus canopy, and that is PLN-2022-02695.
So since the applicant, I believe, is not here, I'll give kind of an overview. The project includes relocating the drive-up parking area, increasing the number of parking spaces for the drive-up area to 24 parking spaces, and then adding a canopy over 12 spaces of that 24. It is specifically to have a safer and drier area for employees to deliver packages to the drive-up area. As for how it meets the code, it pretty much is very minimal when it impacts the code. It's a permitted use in the zone because it's part of the target retail store. Retail stores and supercenters are allowed in that zone. It meets all bulk regulations. It is fairly centered in the center of the property, so setbacks are perfectly fine. They are proposing no landscaping alterations, so we're not requiring any additional landscaping or making them, put additional landscaping in that they would have removed previously. Lighting is the only questionable portion of this. I do have as a condition of approval that a new photometric plan will be established because initially they had designed it for a different portion of the site, and that photometric plan that they provided was for that plan and not this current one. Parking still meets parking standards with the drive up. It well exceeds that. Design of the canopy is not regulated because it's under 100 feet in length. Only other condition of approval that I have on here is that they are planning to have a light pole, I believe, to the north there. But we would like the crosswalk to be relocated directly in the center of it so that the employee will not have to go behind the first stall there to make access to the walkway. So we recommend them relocating a light pole that is situated right at the center of the island, relocating that and then relocating the crosswalk so that it meets up with that.
Okay, and the location of this is between the front of the target, the side of the building that faces 410, not the north side or the east side, I guess.
Correct.
Okay. Anybody have any comments, questions, or concerns?
I do not.
This one was pretty minor.
This one's pretty straightforward.
So I don't have any comments. Location-wise, it looks very similar to where it is now.
You actually can see on the site plan where it is currently. It's one parking row away from it. They decided to do that because they were originally going to have it there, which would displace some landscaping. And so they thought that this way would be a bit easier.
And I've noticed when I go to the Target, the people who bring things to the car are coming out of a side entrance down there closer to that parking
You
now.
can see where the articulation of the building is at the front corner there. That's around the door that the employees will come out of, and they will cross deliver packages.
Seems like it makes more sense.
Yeah.
I always park on the east side, so I didn't know that they had this. Hearing no, anybody have any further comments or concerns?
No, all you would need to do is on the cover sheet of your packet, there's a recommendation. All you have to do is put I move, and if there is nothing, and we basically read after the recommended. I move to, and then basically read that.
Oh, okay.
you're tracking on the packet cover sheet.
Yeah, okay, so I move that we accept this project, subject to the conditions noted in the packet.
Second.
All in favor? Aye.
And for the record, since Debbie's listening, who made the motion? The motion was made by Vice Chair Kennedy, seconded by
Melissa Munson-Merritt.
Melissa Munson-Merritt, and approved by all three commissioners.
All right. Project is approved as noted. Approved by the design commission. Not speaking for anybody else. Okay, moving on. Premier Storage, that is PLN-2021-02655. And that is for a mini storage facility essentially across the street from Costco.
So for this one, I'm sorry. I was gonna say, for this one, we'll turn it over to the applicant's team. Rob or your team, if you have a PowerPoint that you'd like to share or any presentation materials, at the top, right next to your button that says mute and unmute your mic, there's a little thing that looks like a screen, and that will share your.
Yeah, so I'm not sure. I see Gela, you're on the line here. Robin, there you are. Do you want to present anything this evening, Robin?
Yeah, can you guys hear me?
Yes, we can.
Great. So can you see my screen? I just shared it.
Yes.
Great.
Robin Murphy is the principal founder of Jackson, Maine architecture firm, who's the design architect in this project. So very very happy. Thank you, Robin.
Thanks, Rob. So we met about a year ago with Jason and Nathan at the City of Bonney Lake to kind of talk about this project. This is approximately 100,000 gross square foot, 3-story self-storage project. Most of the units are accessed from the interior of the building in 2 loading areas. There are currently 10 parking stalls around the perimeter of the site. I'm going to go to the site plan here. I think it better explains it. So we have 10 parking stalls around the perimeter. We have 2 loading areas, one at the north. North is at the top of the page. And then another one on the east, facing an interior lot line in each case. To the west of that is the office, which is shown here shaded off of 205th Avenue East. And then over here is 100th Street East. We made a number of changes to this plan in the early part of this year based on preliminary input we got from Jason and Mehdi. And hopefully those improvements are well received by the board. They include removing the external units along this face right here and along this face. Those are all externally loaded units, which is pretty typical of a multi-story storage building. There's a certain number that we try to have as external units. We've removed them all to meet landscape and screening requirements. So that area was replaced with landscaping. We've retained these 5 stalls here and these 3 here that are still externally loaded, and that's it. Everything else is internal. I want to go quickly to the elevations. This is the west elevation. So this is the elevation looking at it from 205th, and then here's the south elevation on 100th. And these are the 2 important elevations that Jason and Mehdi asked us to kind of focus on. And we made a number of improvements to this corner. This corner right here. This is hard to view in elevation because it's not a square building. It's got some interesting geometry because of the site area. But what we did is we broke up this facade with some what we call hinges. We added some materials across the base. Essentially, it's a concrete masonry unit base here, and then the majority of the facade is various types of metal, vertical metal siding. These white areas are panels that have, you can see here that they vary as it go, as you go from one floor to the next. And that's a pretty simple way and a subtle way, I think, to break down the mass of the building by doing a variety of widths of siding there. And then on these tower elements, which we have in the corners, we have introduced glass, and you look into that and can see units. Here at the northwest corner, you'd actually be looking into the office with units above that. So we actually have 3 tower elements on this building. I'm going to go back to the site plan here to explain that. There's a tower element here, there's a tower element here, and now there's another one here that we didn't use. We had a vague one, but it's been greatly improved. And by tower elements, I really mean the building is penetrated with glass so that you can see into it. And you can kind of see that better, I guess, in perspectives here. And this shows a kind of an indication of how the landscaping is intended to go. So around this corner here, there'll be a lot of landscaping on the street. Here's 2 tower elements here. This is the west elevation along 205th, some signage, the office, some space above that. And then the other 2 elevations are internal. So this is the elevation facing north, which faces a lot, not a street. That's the office right there. And then this one is facing east, and here's the other loading area. So there's the north loading, and then there's the east loading. And these have been pretty simplified, but essentially you still got the CMU base. Those are the remaining externally loaded doors. Here's that white siding I just described, which forms the vast majority of the materials. Going back to this elevation, this kind of color area is actually phenolic panels. It's Trespa is what we're planning on. Trespa is a high quality phenolic panel. We use it on high rises. It's very, very durable. It's more durable than cement board panels, hardy, which is very common for storage and for multifamily. So we're stepping up to a higher quality material here. And then the CMU, and then the rest of it is all metal. So it's all very durable materials. I'm hoping we have a landscape plan in here. I guess this might be the best I have. This shows turning radiuses for trucks maneuvering in and out. There's a security gate here, and there's another security gate here. So what the intent is that you'd come into the site and back in to load and unload. Same here, you'd come in, then you'd load and unload. And essentially we view this as a one-way road going through the site. Landscape. There's the dumpster right there with the requisite landscaping around it. We have the landscape strip buffer around the perimeter of the site. And there's adequate shading that's all been confirmed by our planner. And then we added a lot of landscaping along the street here. Here we have the site furnishings. They're kind of amenities. There's a small sculpture of a pine cone, a bench, and some bicycle parking. I saw that one of the conditions was that needs to be on this street as well, which we weren't aware of. What I would propose is potentially maybe relocating it either to here, or if we have to put a second grouping of these on 205th, I would propose that it goes in the plaza where it can actually be used. This is really orphaned where it is now, and we're really just following the long-range plan to locate it here. But I don't feel like it is going to get utilized very adequately here, so it feels orphaned. And if we're adding another one, I think we should add it into this plaza where it's justified that we'd have a bike rack, some benching, and a sculpture. So that's that. Another comment that was made by planning was that this parking stall is unacceptable because it blocks these, potentially blocks the use of these externally loaded units. And we do this quite frequently on storage projects, but if that's the determination of the city, we're okay with that. But what I would like, we need to replace it because our parking study says we need 10 stalls, and that's the 10th one. What I would propose is that we replace one of these 3 loading stalls with that parking stall, because currently we have 5 loading stalls, and that's more than is necessary, more than is zoning requires for this site. Going back to the elevations, let's see here. Sorry, I'm going to skip around. A comment was also made by planning that as this building is over 35 feet tall, we need fire department approval. And I believe the fire code, first of all, we have fire department approval. We've talked to them and kind of vetted what, it's important to get their buy-in before we cement these drawings. And we did that very early last summer, and I have an email to that effect. But I'll explain how that fire access works. That red box there and that one there are 2 dead-end fire lanes that are less than 150 feet long. They're 28 feet wide, as Bonney Lake's fire department requires, and they aren't separated from the building, but that was acceptable by the fire department. This one is actually separated from the building by 15 to 30 feet, which is what the IFC requires. Normally, the IFC for aerial apparatus access would require a 26-foot fire lane for a building greater than 30 feet. This building is almost a little bit over 40 feet, so we provided it, and then we're told that no, it's actually 28 feet, not 26. So we made those adjustments to all these drawings, and I have those documents that kind of indicate that we got that approval. Our initial intent was that the fire loop goes all the way through the site. The fire department said that wasn't necessary here. They just want it here and here. So I know that's a lot of technical information. I just want you to know that we have done our homework with this, because it's part and parcel of laying this thing out. And I feel confident that that'll be acceptable to them. Lastly, I'll just I think I've already talked through that. So if you guys have specific questions about the elevations or the site plan or anything else, I'd be happy to answer it. But essentially that is where we're at, and we look forward to your comments.
Yeah, what does the security gates look like? What are they made of? And
Yeah, it's a good question, and I'm sorry I don't have a drawing for you on that in this packet, but essentially they're very robust, powder-coated steel, 8 feet tall. This one is a sliding gate. I think it's a sliding. Let me check that here for a second. Now, I believe they're actually lift gates. So at one point we had them sliding gates, so it doesn't really matter whether it's a lift or a sliding gate. The material's the same. So it's an 8-foot fence, powder-coated, probably black, that would, at this point, it would pivot upwards to allow access in and out and create a secure environment. We'd also be putting a security fence at the perimeter wall along the north from this point, and then wrapping down on the east all the way to this point. And that would be a very similar product, steel powder-coated, black or gray, that meshes and forms a secure area, so that if somebody who isn't supposed to be in the building after hours or during hours can't physically get in there. And this is pretty common in storage. We want a secure environment, but it also needs to be very aesthetically pleasing. We're not proposing to put up a chain link fence or something. This is something that's much more durable.
okay, good. Now, with respect to the location of bicycle racks, is that under the purview of the design commission?
Say that again?
The applicant is proposing to put some bicycle racks different than what either the design standards or the city code requires. So is that under the purview of the design commission, or is that something that?
The location, yeah, I would say that it's under the purview of design.
Hey, this is Rob DeJean, the applicant. Robin and others, I do believe per the shopping center requirements, we have to have those elemental design, I think it's a pine cone, I believe, and bench and such. that we are required, I believe, to put them on 100th Street, which is where staff had requested. I'm not so certain about the bike rack part. I don't know if that's included in the requirement, but I would say we do need to comply with that legally.
There was a requirement, and there was a requirement from the EIS, so it's not a design code requirement, it's a requirement from the EIS to put in street furniture and kind of have an amenity plan. The original property owner prepared that amenity plan and then had that recorded on everyone's title that's pulled up. And there has to be an amenity on 100. I keep reminding people that while that is a dead end road now, that is the future entrance to Midtown Park.
Right.
So when that park gets developed, there will be lots of people walking up and down 100th Street to access the park. And then they have to put one on 205th. The exact location on 205th, it can slide north or south. So putting it in the plaza area is not necessarily a bad thing as long as it's right behind the sidewalk and it's clear that it's for all pedestrians, not just their tenants and their specific amenities that they have to put in each one.
Okay.
Based on the amenity plan, so it's a little different.
Yeah, I'm showing this amenity, the locations, and you're right. We're actually lot 7 and a portion of lot 6, so there is a location here that we missed. But putting it in the plaza area seems like a logical location for it, and we can certainly locate it close to the sidewalk here. By the way, I didn't mention this, but we had the office door, which is logically located, adjacent to these parking stalls, including the EV stalls. But we moved it here and put a landscape strip as a reaction to planning requirement that there be some separation there. And based on the report that I read, that was acceptable. So the entrance is here. We could put those amenities here.
The EV stalls, have electric vehicle stalls?
Correct, yep.
Will they have charging stations?
Yeah, so that's what this box is here. There'd be a joint use charging station situated between the two of them. One of the EV stalls is an accessible stall as well.
Okay.
Robin, if you do move it to that plaza area, you're just going to want to make sure you don't block the pedestrians coming off the street into the plaza. So you may have to widen it. Maybe have to mess with it there to make it all work.
Yeah, I hear you, and we could. This area could be widened pretty easily, and we're happy to work that out with the staff.
And I think I heard you mention something about moving a parking spot.
Yes.
And replacing something to get the required 10 spots. Does that change need to be run by design commission or not? I don't think we would need to be. Okay. So they don't need to come back with that with any showing the changes. Okay, good. Any comments or questions? Further comments and questions?
So with this proposed, are they planning on we're gonna have two little spots with a bench and stuff like that? Okay, I like that. Because I kind of have this image in my head that this place will eventually become kind of a place for leisurely kind of people just coming to shop and browse around and look around. So one of the big questions I had when I looked at this plan is that, so I know that there's going to be sidewalks on 101st, the 205th. Are there going to be any types of sidewalks or such behind on the other side of the building? There's 205th, and on the other side, is there going to be any type of sidewalks on that side of the building, or?
No, that's all kind of outside the development. There's another building there, but the sidewalk, there will be sidewalk on the north and south side of 100 and First that will extend all the way down and in. And then it's designed to provide a vehicle connection someday to the movie.
Okay. So, well, with regard to the potentially connecting to the movie theater parking lots, is it conceivable to think that eventually people are going to like walk in the movie theater and say if they want a cookie, and they want to go to the crumbly cookie, they're going to have to essentially walk around this building. They're going to have to go walk. Okay, so you cannot bypass behind the building, and that's kind of an absolute. So really, they're kind of backed up to the very edge of their parcel.
Yes.
Okay. Just wanted to ask about that. You guys answered the question about the existing parking lot. Yeah, so besides that, I don't have many comments. I mean, I looked at their landscape plan, I looked at their plan. They're all manageable, so I kind of thought they were all okay. And, yeah, it looks kind of an appealing building. Not much more than that.
Yeah, I think that based on the illustrations that are provided here, it is a very attractive one.
I mean, honestly, I would have actually asked for a second seating area, which they kind of actually did for me. So I was kind of like, oh, great. Didn't necessarily have to be the proponent for that.
So I was going to have Betty go over the recommended conditions of approval real quick.
So we are recommending, get there on my page. That all lighting be dark sky compliant. The south portion of the building will be required to provide type 3 landscaping along with facade frontage for the non-articulated area measuring approximately 41 feet. An updated landscape plan will be required for the building permit process. This is for those 3 storage units that are being accessed from the outside. We don't believe that access from the outside is conducive to safety, just because even a car would block an emergency vehicle trying to get around the drive area. So if that could just be replaced with landscaping, we would allow the 5 that are going to be outside entry. So our next condition is the applicant will be required to obtain approval from the city of Bonney Lake Fire and Safety Inspector regarding the height of the buildings that exceeds the allowed 35 feet. I believe Robin touched on this. I believe we have to speak with our actual fire inspector. I don't know who you got contact with previously, whether it was East Pierce Fire, but they're not the reviewer. Todd Plum, our fire and safety inspector, will have to sign off.
I believe it was Todd, but I will verify that, Maddie, and get you that
Yeah,
information.
if you could send me the information, this can go away pretty easily.
You got it, no problem.
An additional part.
Is Todd, sorry, well, just at point of clarification, is Todd the right person?
Todd is the right person.
So up until about a year ago, East Pierce Fire and Rescue did all of the interview. They got out of that business, and we brought in our own fire inspector. So he is the one who is ultimately the person who has to approve it for compliance with the IFC. But it's Todd Plum.
Yeah, thank you.
The next one, which I believe you touched on, an additional parking space is required for the project to be compliant with the parking standards. Using a loading bay, I don't see an issue with that. The 5 individual loading areas will be delineated that rent those units to prevent confusion for customers of the storage facility. The site plan shall be updated to identify the weather protection overhang along the entrance of the building, because I did not see it on the site plan there. And the project will be required to incorporate the street furniture along 205th Avenue East frontage to meet the approved amenity plan of the Wazoo development, which we've already touched on that. So.
Maddie, can I ask you to clarify something?
Of course.
So you're talking about the 5 externally loaded right here, correct? And we have to move this parking stall, correct? But what about these 3? We have 3 more. Are you saying these aren't acceptable?
Correct.
Because,
Any vehicle that will be unloading in those spaces will be blocking the fire access.
I see. Okay. All right. Understood.
Those are the conditions of approval that we.
Got it.
Any other comments, questions, concerns?
This should seem pretty straightforward. And also, I mean, I know this is probably not terribly important, but the landscape plan did not actually show the trees on that fence line. They have like 2 different plans. One has some trees but doesn't identify what they are, and the other one didn't.
Are you talking about on the?
On the right side of this, when we're looking.
There are no trees on that side.
Yeah.
It's too thin to support trees. So we've just allowed them to do a minor
Oh, okay.
landscape strip with the ground cover.
Yeah, because I kind of noticed the discrepancy between.
The other picture did show it on there, and
Yeah.
I believe that's a previous.
Okay.
I apologize. I put up the wrong drawing. This is the landscape plan. And the reason we don't have trees along the east is because of the storm easement. So we stop them here, but this does meet all the requirements for shading, which is shown here, and et cetera, et cetera. So this is the accurate landscape plan.
That was the one I was looking at.
Yes.
That little confusion.
Fault.
Any other questions or concerns? Okay, hearing none, I move that we approve the project subject to the conditions noted in the staff report.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right, the project is approved by design commission.
So Rob, what'll happen next is you'll get the actual decision's made administratively. So you'll get an administrative decision from the city with the same conditions basically of approval that are contained in the act.
Okay, thank you. Sounds good. Appreciate everyone's hard work here. Thank you very much.
Yes. Much appreciated. Thank you. And by the way, I must say, you guys are very efficient. I appreciate that too. I was anticipating being on this call for another couple hours, so that's great.
We may be strict and to the point, but we're efficient.
Yeah.
You guys didn't put any palm trees in, so I'm happy.
All right. Thank you.
Okay, everybody have a good evening. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
All right, that concludes new business. For the good of the order, is there any correspondence?
No.
Any staff comments?
Just a couple. We are in the process of moving into a new, if you've ever driven that 96, you'll see the big brand new building next to past the Home Depot. Already says Public Services Department on it. It's under construction. We were hoping to be moved in July. Probably going to be August. So until we move into that building, our meetings will be in this building. Once we move into that new building, so either probably your August or September meeting, we will meet in that building out there. So if you've never been by, go like you're going to Home Depot, but instead of making the left into Home Depot off of 410, make a right, can't miss it. It's a huge complex where the old the water tower still there, but in front of the old water tower. And it already says Public Services Department. And the planning staff, building staff, engineering staff will be on the second floor, and then all the public works operation guys will be on the
And our meetings will be held at that building from here on out?
Once that building opens, yes.
Yes.
There's a conference room right on the first floor that is being set up to facilitate hearing examiner and commission. That we're no longer kind of playing the court game. Plus, that's where everybody will be at.
Yeah, okay. That sounds good. Commissioner comments?
Excited for the new building.
I just have one. I just want to note that I believe the three of us were at the city council meeting last night for the required annual open public meeting training. They didn't have any kind of sign up or anything. I just want to make sure that we all get credit for that.
Yeah, and I'll make sure that that's recorded with Sadie. She's the one who keeps track.
Okay.
You wanted to get it on public record.
Welcome to Commissioner Merritt. This is the first time she sat in an actual meeting, so welcome to the Design Commission. And we've actually got,
I've got a few more storage facilities coming your way. But I have a few more design review coming pipeline.
You're talking about storage.
More?
She is.
Given all sorts of facilities,
Yeah,
not only in our city, but others, I think we just have way too much.
They're all over.
Two more coming your way.
So excited.
we actually currently have an ordinance that we're trying to get through the city council that is going to remove that as a permitted use. But it's not going as quick as I would want it to do. So if I would always say this, if you are in support or opposed to that option, writing any comments to us would be greatly appreciated.
Right.
So basically, we just remove them as a permitted use, and the ones that we have would stay. Like I said, if you're in support, you're the design commissioner, so if you're in support of that, great. If you're not in support of that, that's also great. But yeah, if you have any comments or concerns with that, that'd be great to keep those kind of on record, so as we present the packets to the city council, they kind of see it.
Would now be an okay time?
Huh?
Would now be an okay time?
Well, things that are emailed are best, because they can slip those into packets.
Yeah, I'm just curious where people put all their stuff before this.
Yeah, I suppose getting that on record.
I think it's to Holly.
Oh, yeah.
Probably.
We didn't have any over the last 2 years with the Holly blowing up. We're getting tons.
I suppose maybe attending the city council meeting and taking advantage of the public comments would be
That would be
another way to-
completely, yeah, I think it's going to city council workshop July 12th. If it's advanced to kind of for consideration, like an up-down vote, that would be July 19th.
And you said an email is probably best. Who would we send the email to?
Remember to do that.
Yeah, I'll write my note. Perfect.
Okay. Any other commissioner comments? Okay. That is the last of our agenda items, so I move that we close the meeting. I move that we adjourn, 6:49 p.m. Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right.
We're still recording, so just give me 1 second.